Hey, this is Jay Shaffer, and today I'm going to show you how to use iPhone super slow motion effects in Adobe Premiere and turn them into video that you can use. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and hook my iPhone up to my computer with its lightning cable into USB. And when I do that, that's going to bring up in Yosemite, it's actually going to bring up the Photos app, and what I want to bring up is the image capture app. So I'm going to go to my boot drive here and go to my applications, and I'm going to go to image capture. I can just go ahead and hit I here, and that will get me in the neighborhood, and I'll open the image capture app. And that will show me all the images that I've captured on my iPhone. And I'm going to scroll down here to some of these way further down here to these movies. And I want to just select 3 of these. And so I'm going to select this one. I'm going to hold down my command key. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to select this one. So these are 3 movies that I captured in slow motion on my iPhone, and then I'm going to send these to a new location here. And so I'm going to go to my media RAID drive here and go to my slow-mo Premiere project that I created. And I'm going to go ahead and import these into an original footage folder. This is just something that I've created as a workflow for myself, as I create a project media folder template where I organize my material into different folders. So I have a footage folder, a project backup folder, and graphic sources for stills, graphic exports for motion graphics, audio sources for things like sound effects and voiceover, stock footage, exported files, and production paperwork. I'm not going to get into that too much now, but that's where I'm going to go ahead and move these 3 movie files that I created that on my iPhone. There actually, if you look in the directory structure or in your in the iPhoto library, is that you will see that these slow motion movie files actually have a sidecar file with them that is an XML file that talks about sets their different slow motion speeds and stuff like that. But we're going to actually kind of ignore those and just use these within Adobe Premiere. Okay, so I've got this all set up to import. So now I'm going to import these 3 movie files into a folder on my media RAID drive that we're going to use in Adobe Premiere. So I'll go ahead and hit import here. And then we can see that those files are indeed importing. So something to note is that iPhone captures the slow motion files at 240 frames per second in 720p. And so that's what we'll actually be converting this footage to. So I'm going to go and launch Adobe Premiere here. And this is Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2014. Your version may vary. I think you can use CC onward to do this. So I'll go ahead and launch this, and I'll start a new project. I'll ignore my Parian update there. And I'm going to start a new project, and I'm going to put it into the same directory that I started with the footage that I imported. So I'm going to go to Slow-Mo Premiere, and I'm going to go into Project and Scratch Disk, and I'm going to choose that as my directory, and the name is going to be Slow-Mo Premiere. I'll hit OK. Okay, so that's opened up a new project, and if I don't like this, I'm actually usually use 2 monitors, but I only have 1 monitor hooked up tonight, so I am going to change my workspace to just a straight ahead editing CS55 here. Oh, and still thinking I have 2 monitors. And so I'll go to the workspace, and I'll go reset current workspace to its original layout. Alright, so now I've got my CS 5.5 editing interface set up, and I'm ready to import some media here. So I can right click on this and go to Import Media. And I can go to my original footage file. And so here you can see that I have my movie files, and I also have these .aae files, and these are the sidecar files that are part of the iPhone, but they are not recognized by Premiere Pro or practically anything except for another iPhone. So I'm just going to import just the movie files. I could import everything, but let's just try to make this elegant without any error messages. Alright, so now I have 3 movie files here, and if I go here into the project tab, or the project pane here, and we can look at these 3 clips, and I can hit the tilde key on my keyboard here to expand out the project pane here to full screen. And so this gives me a little bit more information about these clips, and you can see that they're all at 240 frames per second, which is really super cool, but not necessarily what I would want to have my project actually be. So I'm going to hit my tilde key again just to go back to my regularly scheduled program here. And if I can look at this particular piece of footage here, and if I play it back in my source monitor, is that this is just going to play back at real time, and this is actually playing back at 240 frames per second. And of course, what I want to have happen is to make this super slow motion footage. So what we can do is I can take this clip, and I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go to the Modify menu, and I'm going to go to Interpret Footage. So, and when I click on Interpret Footage, I could use the frame rate from the file, which is 240 frames per second, but that's probably not exactly what I want to have happen. So I'm going to assume a frame rate, and I'm going to assume a frame rate of 23.97 here. I could put 976, but it's going to ignore that and just give me 97. It'll actually give me a 9798. So we'll assume that that's actually the correct frame rate that I need to have. So I'll hit OK on this, and now we have a super slow motion at 23,976 frames per second. And I want to do this for my other clips as well, so I'll just do this really quickly here. So I've reinterpreted this footage now that it's going to always play back at a tenth of its original speed here. So I can take this very first clip here, the 0257, and I'm going to drag it to my timeline. And when I do that, that's going to create a new sequence with the exact same settings as my footage here. And if I hit my spacebar here and I start to play this, you can see that my hand is moving ever so slowly toward the Stella Artois bottle. And then I will grasp it and slowly lift it and begin to pour the amber lusciousness that we call beer. Okay, and so we are basically moving at 10 times slow speed here. When will that beer ever hit the bottom of the glass? There we go. Okay, so that's very slow speed, and that's really wonderful for all kinds of great effects. And of course I can scroll back here and we can make the beer flow backwards back into the bottle. And that's all well and good. And so you can see that it took me in slow motion time. This actually takes me over almost 5 minutes to pour a glass of beer. And of course, that's probably not very engaging for our viewers. So that we want to probably move this speed faster and slower as time moves on here. But the beauty of this is being that we've conformed this now and taken all, so we're not going to lose any frames, and we can go and we can do some little things to speed ramp this. So I'm going to come down here to my timeline. I'm just going to expand up my video track there just so I can see a little bit more of what's going on. And you know, as much as the lusciousness of slow beer pouring sounds, is that I may or may not want that audio. So I'm just going to go ahead and unlink and get rid of that audio for the moment. So here we have our wonderful beer footage here. And I'm going to right click on the footage here. And you can show that, and then if I go down here all the way to the bottom to show clip keyframes, as I can do time remapping. So I'll click on speed there. And now we get a rubber band across our footage that shows us what we can do as far as keyframes and doing some time remapping here. So I may want to start this out at kind of normal speed. So that would actually be, since we conformed our footage, that would be 10 times fast speed. And so we can move the speed around. So I'm just going to scroll along here to right about here where the beer starts to pour. And that's where I want it to slow down. So I'm going to hit my Option key. I can also use my pen tool here. And I'm going to make a keyframe here. And if we look at this a little bit closer here, you can see that this keyframe has kind of a split. It looks like a baseball home plate with a kind of split down the middle. And we'll look at that here in just a minute to show you that you can use that to do some speed ramping over time. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and take this up here as far as, I'm going to go back to my normal keyframe here, and I'm just going to take the speed, and I'm going to take this up to, so 10 times I guess would be about 100%, no, it would be 1,000%. So I'm going to take this up to, all the way up to 1,000%, which is the maximum value that we have allowed here. So it starts out normal speed, start to pour the beer, and all of a sudden it slows down to super slow speed. So I'll stop that. And if I want to ramp this over time, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so that we can see this ramping over time, so I can kind of split that keyframe, and now it kind of slows down, and then there we have the beer actually starting to pour. I'm going to zoom out here. Okay, so we probably don't want to see an entire 5-minute beer pour here. So I'm going to just trim this footage here. Trim it down here just so we have a nice little glint. Grab it at regular speed. And if I wanted to slow that down just a little bit, the grab there, or maybe 750%. And then we're ramping into slow motion. And there's that beautiful beer pour footage. And of course, I maybe want to bring another clip in there, so I'm going to grab my second clip here, and I'm going to bring that into my timeline. And if we look at this, here we are again at the super slow motion speed. And we may or may not like that at that speed. So again, we can do our speed ramping here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlink the footage because I don't need the audio. And unlink. Click the audio, delete that. Go over here, right click, all the way to the bottom, show clip keyframes, go to time wrapping, remapping speed. And again, I'm going to go ahead and add a keyframe here. Okay, so I just hit the command key, and that gave me a keyframe there. And again, I'm going to want this to be kind of normal speed. I'll go up to about, we're into super slow-mo. And again, I can split this keyframe. And nice thing about this is that, let me zoom in here. And I actually ended up with 2 keyframes in there, but I can still make this work. And you'll see that we actually have a Bezier control here. So I can go and I can make this accelerate and decelerate with in relation to time. And I can move this over here. I can delete that keyframe, and I can take these keyframes here. And you can see that now I have a nice little Bezier curve here. And so now let's go here. Nice slow sip there. We like that. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to trim this clip down again because we don't want to see 5 minutes of beer sipping footage. And now I'm kind of go the other direction. I've got yet another camera angle here. And I'll bring this in here. Again, unlink, get rid of the audio. And here we go into, oops. We didn't conform that footage, so I'm going to take and delete that real quick. And so the mistakes always are very informative. I always believe that mistakes teach you more than doing things the right way. So we were assuming 223 frames per second, and now we're going to assume 23.98. Bring that puppy back in here, right click, unlink, get rid of the audio. All right, here we go. And so we're gonna, going along, here I am sipping that wonderful beer. And so I'm just gonna do a quick razor blade cut here. I like this, and then I'm going to go to my V key. I'm going to bring this over here, bring this over here, bring this over here. So I'm just doing a little bit of actual video editing here. And then, oh yeah, the anticipation. I love that glint there. I'm going to trim this out a little bit. And I'm going to trim this out to the point where up to my keyframe. That looks like a nice little cut on motion. I might trim this back just a little bit there. There we go. Got my glint. Lifting my glass, doing a nice sip. And then here, I want to ramp down my speed, or ramp back up my speed. And again, I'm going to go show clip keyframes, go to time remapping, speed here, and I'll hit my command key on my position here to add a keyframe. And I might separate this out. I might take this back up to 500% again. And now we have a nice little speed ramping sequence here. So we've got beer being poured very slowly. Nice glint. Nice glint there. Ah, then the reward. And of course, we want to trim out a little bit of that. I'm going to throw a quick dissolve in there, and we're going to call this a beautiful, nice little piece of slow motion action. So I'll just throw a little video transition and do a nice little dissolve between, I wonder if, oh, maybe we can't, oh, okay, yeah. And there we go. That's how to take slow motion into Adobe Premiere. And of course, the only other thing that we have to do is export the file to make a final video here. So I'll go up to my file menu, export media. And then I'm going to export this as a 720 by 1280 video here. And I could do match source high bit rate, which is a nice way to do it. And I'll just go ahead and send this out to the render queue. And then we'll take a look at this footage at the end of the tutorial. Thanks. It's Jay Shaffer.